Hello, my name is Ayesha and I am studying pharmacy.
And my name is Aasima and I am studying Bachelor of Science. And today you are listening to Car Chit Chats, a podcast where we discuss different media we have come across and our thoughts on them. Today we will be discussing a novel by Ray Bradbury called Fahrenheit 451.
This is also Aisha's favorite book of all time.
Yep.
Yes.
But before that, is there something you would like to share from the week, Ayesha?
Yes, actually. So, today, Abu sent both of us, our family group chat on WhatsApp. He sent a news article about something which I won't mention because then I feel like I'll have to give my opinion of it, and I don't want to do that. Sometimes it's nice to just read something and go, "Oh, okay." Rather than forming an opinion about it and like having to tell to the world, having that define you. So yeah, it was about something, and it just made me realize how thankful I am to have had the English education that I got, because in English a lot of what we studied was about how to analyze articles and arguments and stuff like that, and I could really clearly see in this text how the writer was using specific words to express certain things and make us feel more about things than maybe we they could have used neutral words, but they were using specific words to make us feel certain things. And it was also sort of, as I was reading it, I was sort of questioning a lot of things. I was questioning, okay, you're saying this, but where's the evidence? Okay, fine, this, but like, who said that? Where do you get this information from? And maybe a layperson, someone who hasn't really gotten that education, may not think of that. So I was really appreciating my English. Because I think a lot of people, when they're studying English, they're like, ooh, why do we have to do this? And I think I certainly felt that way as well when I was studying it. But I think on the last day of year 12, our teacher was like, I hope that going forward, you analyze the things you read and see how, you have sort of the insight to not trust everything that comes your way and to think deeply about the things you come across and how people are using words to make you feel certain things. So,
okay, but do you think in some ways that can be bad? Because the newsletter that Abu did sent us, it was supposed, obviously you could tell that the writer was trying to, make you feel upset and not just inform you about what's happening, but make you want to do something about it, right? If you realize that, this person's using these techniques in order to make me feel this way, you might not feel that way as much, right? Because you'd be thinking about the way they've written it instead of just reading it and just actually feeling it.
Yeah.
So maybe in a way that's not the best thing, right? Because I completely agree with year 12 English. I mean, high school English, and how it's really, really helped me as well in just analyzing books and other things, media. But I just think maybe in a way it's not. Yeah, there's two sides, I guess. It's good that you're able to analyze things and think more deeply about them, but there's this other way where you kind of close off a bit, because you, instead of thinking about the message, you think about how it's written.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a... So I think sometimes people that study literature, after they start reading books as leisure, they're like, I can't do this because I'm just trying to
critiquing.
I'm critiquing everything.
Yeah.
So I guess as long as you sort of have a balance, like obviously the thing that I was reading was upsetting me, but I was also thinking, okay, obviously part of this is true, or maybe all of this is true, but I would have appreciated it if the author was more transparent with where they got the information from. Even if they said something like a source which I cannot name, said this. Yeah. I would appreciate that.
Okay.
But then I honestly maybe there was references at the bottom of the. I didn't check.
I don't think there were.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then I could also see like in one aspect, because the newspaper was from a specific country, and in that sort of article there was one mention of someone doing the right thing, and it was from that specific country where the news article was from. So I was like, okay, there's like a bias. I can see what's going on here. Obviously, thank you for mentioning that some people are doing the right thing, but you also see it from that perspective. Maybe it's making me think too pessimistically. So that's definitely something worth thinking about.
Because the thing is, the writer had a good intention while
Yes.
writing it.
Yes.
You can never, he or she, you can't say they had a bad intention.
Exactly.
But
it was a good informative article. I am happy that I read it, so I
Yeah.
have more awareness about the world and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I'd like to share is that today I was bringing down, so I got a new chair. Well, it's a secondhand
yes.
chair, that's not exactly new, but I got another chair.
Yes.
And because the previous chair, so it's a desk chair, and the previous desk chair I was using, it was missing a wheel. So every time I sat on it, I felt like I was going to fall down. Fortunately, I never did because I was able to balance myself well. So I got this new chair. And as I was going to bring down the old chair downstairs so we can put it next to the hard waste collection of things that we're
Collecting.
that we're asking people to collect.
Yes.
The people who are supposed to collect it.
Yes.
As I was bringing the chair down, I felt my legs shiver, or not shiver, but just feel like there's a huge strain on them.
Oh.
So it was so difficult to bring them down the stairs.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh my god. Because the thing is, I think, at least for maybe the past 5-6 years, in our family, we have had the connotation that Aasima is a strong person.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's
Because
true.
whenever someone needs help with something heavy, and they'll be like, Aasima, come here, help!
Yes. That
And, hard things like labor, manual
yeah,
labor.
yeah, manual labor, you're
Yeah.
good at that stuff.
Yeah, so I've always had that connotation to myself, but I've realized that I think in the last year or a year and a half, I've been losing that part of myself. And I think I've almost completely lost it because I was bringing the chair down and it was so difficult. And when I got to the bottom, my legs were still shaky.
Okay.
And it felt really bad. It felt really upsetting that I'm losing a part of myself. And I think that's definitely because I stopped playing sport.
Yep.
I stopped doing physical exercise, which was a huge part of my life, maybe before the final years of high school. So I was pretty sad. But I know what to do in order to get back to that, right? I still want to. Because it made me feel confident. It made me feel like a strong woman.
Yep.
And I always liked that kind of connotation to myself. But I can't say that about myself right now.
So do you think this experience will, sort of enlighten you enough to get down to business?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I might buy some weights and do something.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Kmart has really cheap weights, I think.
I can buy secondhand.
Oh yes, of course, secondhand weights.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Mm.
See how you go with that.
Yeah.
Like drinking protein and
Protein shakes. Yep.
eating baked chicken and
Yep.
all that good stuff. Yes. All right. So going to Fahrenheit 451. Aasima actually finished the book today, so that we could talk about it. So Aasima, what are your thoughts?
Well, okay, so I'd just like to start with telling you guys the context.
Yes, of course.
So I read a book just for the reason of reading it for the first time in a long time. Because last year I read 3 books, and all 3 of them were because I had to read them for school.
Yep.
So this was the first book I read just for the reason of reading it in a very, very long time. And it reminded me of when I used to read every single day before going to sleep. Yes, Ayesha, it's shocking, but we had different rooms, okay?
True.
You were staying in your room, I was staying in my room. I used to read before going to sleep, and it was a very lovely time.
Yes, of course.
It was so nice. So, it just, while I was reading it, it kind of just took me back completely to that time. So
when was this? Like,
year
10?
Yeah, around year 9, year 10. So back in our old house, you know, while I was reading it, I just kind of went through the whole, what a normal day looked like for me. So I would, wake up with the first alarm at 7:30, and then I would wake up with the second alarm at 7:50. I would always have those two,
yes.
because I found it easier to wake up at 7:50 if I've already kind of woken myself up a bit before that. So I would wake up and I would go to the bathroom, then I would head to the kitchen, and that's where I would get two pieces of toast, and I would toast them, take it out, and I would put some jam on it and some cream on it.
Oh, yes.
And I would always put the jam first, because if I would put the cream first, then the bread would get soggy, obviously.
Oh, yeah, of course. Also, you gotta think about
and
these
then
things.
Just when and before I would do that, I would put my glass of milk into the microwave, because it takes some time to microwave.
Of course.
Always 2 minutes, always.
Yes.
And then, just as I would be finishing, I would have finished making my toast, Abu would come in and be like, Jaichum.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah, so, in Urdu, the word for hello, I guess, is Assalamu alaikum.
Or in the Muslim world. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Muslim
Arabic.
world, I guess.
Yeah.
And Abu just has this nice, cute way of saying it. He's been saying it since
we were born.
Since we were born, yeah. And he'd say, "Ajaitum," and I'd be like, "Hello," and I'd always ask him, "Do you want me to make you something?" And he'd be like, "No, I'm leaving." And then he'd go to work, and then I'd grab my milk and put a teaspoon of chocolate powder in it, and then take both into my room, sit down, tuck myself in with the blanket, and watch some YouTube videos, and
nice,
and have the breakfast.
Nice.
And then I would get out, and I would brush my teeth, wash my face, put moisturizer on, all that jazz. Then come into my room, and I'd have this perfect procedure of putting my uniform on.
Amazing.
So I would put one stocking on, and then I would put another stocking on, because one is not enough, because
because it's so cold.
it's sheer. No,
Yes.
It's not cold. It's sheer. It's sheer, which means you can see through one. I would have to put two on, so you can't see my legs. Yep. And then I would put underwear on, so that
it wouldn't fall down. Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's my life. The first time I wore the leggings, I call them leggings. Worst experience of my life. Anyway, go on.
So kept on falling down. Yeah. Went to the bathroom every three minutes.
I was walking. It was a 10-minute walk to the school.
Yep.
And I'm like walking, and it's like falling down my legs, and I'm like, and I tried pushing them up, and I'm so insecure about like people on the street looking at me. There was no one on the street. And I was like, oh no, what if someone looks at me and thinks I look like a loser? I looked like a loser back then anyway. And I'm like pulling it up again and again. And I'm like halfway through when I turn around, and there's a girl walking behind me.
Oh man.
So she's been watching me this whole time. Oh my god.
Yeah. I used a belt for a long time, which was so unbelievably uncomfortable.
Very
but
good.
No one ever told me what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because when we used to wear them when we were young, we didn't do anything. We just put them on, and it would be fine.
I don't know why.
But no, anyway, you told me about this.
Oh, did I tell you about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, finally, I have something. And then I would put my skirt on, and then I would turn it a bit from the top.
Make this,
to make it not awkward. Yeah, to make it a proper length.
Yeah.
And not make it look awkward from the back or the front, because this skirt, oh my god,
I hated the skirt so much.
Took so much effort.
Yep.
Took so much effort
Yep.
to make it look nice, and some people just had it perfectly on every single day, and I'd be like, "How man, how you do that?" And then I'd put my perfectly ironed shirt on
Of
that I
course.
would have ironed the day before.
Yeah.
Collar ironed
It's
as well.
part of your routine as well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yep.
I would close the buttons from top to bottom.
Oh, so there was always that, right?
Yep, always.
Yeah.
And then I'd put my sweater on, then put my jacket on, and then I put my headphones in my pocket, and put my glasses in my pocket. Then I put my iPad. Oh, with my iPad, I would make it silent, and I would put on a game for a second so that I can make the media of it to the bottom. Because on my iPad, you don't have the option of putting the media sound off without having media on. Yeah, so I would open a game for a second.
And then you're like,
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Make it silent, put that in my bag, and then I would put my bag on. Oh, I would open the curtains and the blankets. I
fold
would
them up.
Fold the blankets up, and then I would head to the door. But then I would see my brothers sleeping in their room, still not awake. It would be like maybe 8:30 by now, and school starts at 8:50. So they were still in bed. So I would wake them up 3 times, and always leave in anger out of the door. But it was now that I look back on it, it's just so funny because it would always be like that. I'd be really annoyed whenever I would leave. I'm like, what?
Yep.
3 times.
Yeah.
They'd always get to school on time, which is unbelievable.
Oh, okay.
But then I would get to school and everything would happen and great. You know, I can ramble on about this for a long time, but yes. I was just going through that while I was reading the book because I just remember that time of the day I would just really enjoy just having my lamp open, being in a very comfortable spot, being really happy, and being a child.
Yep.
Although it was only like 2 or 3 years ago, I just feel
you were a child back then.
Yeah, I just really miss that time.
Yeah. And you don't think you can bring it back or recreate it in some way?
Well, I think having school, so with university, things are different every single day.
Yeah.
I can't replicate that exact structure, I think.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And things were just so much less complicated back then.
Yeah. Life was easy.
Yeah. So it was really nice reading the book that way. It reminded me of all of that. You could say that in some parts of the book while I was reading, I was thinking about this, so I wasn't exactly reading it, which is really bad.
Awesome.
But it was all part of the experience.
Yeah,
reading. I was reading a book. It didn't matter whether I was reading Fahrenheit 451. I was just reading a book. Okay. What I liked about the book, my thoughts about the book, I think it was a very good comment on society. It was definitely exaggerated, but that's the point. People wouldn't read it if it wasn't exaggerated. They'd be like,
yeah.
What's so great about this?
Yeah.
It's just stating what it is. It doesn't seem that bad. It was very thought-provoking, and I think it made... Well, what I got most out of it was that it taught me to appreciate things more. Like, appreciate that I have people who listen to me. Because that's a big factor there. In that, people really don't talk or listen to each other. Yeah. So appreciate things like that. And I think one other thing I wanted to say was that I think the book, the author talks about what he believed the perfect book would be in the book, right? Because he says...
The book has pores when he says...
Yeah, and he gives 3...
Yeah, he gives
3 things that you get from books.
Yeah.
That you could get in other ways, but 3 things that if you can get, you get it from... Yeah, it's...
like you're on the right track, or like, that's what a book should be, or that's what media should be.
Yeah, which was really cool that a person has those defining things for them.
Yeah.
When it comes to books.
Yeah. Cool. Does this make you want to read more books?
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Do you know what you're reading next?
Yes, I'm going to be reading The Anatomy of Peace. Let's see. Well, I can read self-help books.
Yes, of course.
Because I really, 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 what's the word?
Would like to.
I really value the idea of peace.
Of peace.
Internal peace.
Yeah.
Inner peace.
Yes, of course.
So I think I would want to read.
Yeah. I'm sure it'd be interesting. I was making the face because it sounds cringy. The Anatomy of Peace. But
well,
yeah.
I think it sounds so cool.
Oh, okay. Yes, that sounds cool.
Jork.
Okay. So one thing special about obviously Fahrenheit 451, apart from the fact that it's my favorite book, is that I have very heavily annotated this book. And so, you know, when Aasima was reading it, she wasn't just reading the book, she was also reading the way I felt about the book. And Aasima, how was your experience about that?
It was really, really nice. It was really great. I think, yeah, because a lot of the things you wrote I could relate to, and some things that I couldn't relate to, it gave me another perspective. One thing negative about it was, I think, that I was just appreciating the things you highlighted more than everything else. There would rarely be a time where I would read a line that isn't highlighted and say, oh, wow, this is really cool. And I'd say, oh, maybe that is because the colors are popping up at me. The highlighted colors are popping up, and I'm not really appreciating other things as much as I should be. But I think towards the end, I really I was really conscious about that, so I was really aware about that. So I think if you read the last few pages, I think there are a bit more that I've underlined or
nice.
that I
really
find cool or insightful.
Yours.
Yeah, it's hard to find, but yeah,
fine, nice.
Yeah, I think from now on, if I do have a book that I have not borrowed from the library, I annotate.
Okay, lovely.
So, The Anatomy of Peace, I would annotate that.
Nice. From that perspective, maybe it's better to, give a person that has already read a book an annotated version of that book, so that they already have a perception of it in their mind, and when they look through someone's annotated version, they're like, oh, okay, these are the interesting facts that they liked. This helps me form some thoughts, or it helps me give different perspectives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be a better idea, because otherwise it gives you that bias, right? Where you're like, oh, but these things are more important because they've been highlighted. Yeah. Because I think Abu was saying something like, well, I wouldn't want to read a annotated book because, I just want my own thoughts with me while I'm reading it. I don't really want anyone else sort of influencing the thoughts. Oh, maybe it was Abu or a friend of mine. I can't remember. But yeah. So that was something.
Interesting.
Yes. All right. So let us talk about this book. What I thought we'd do is that there are passages in the book where I have highlighted, and I've highlighted them green because they reflect wise words. So anything green is apparently a wise sort of sentence or thought to me. So I thought we'd read them out and break them down into what, we'd break them down and see why it's wise, what we can learn from it, and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yours? Okay, so we'll get to the first one. The first thing that I have highlighted is, there are too many of us, he thought. There are billions of us, and that's too many. Nobody knows anyone. Strangers come and violate you. Strangers come and cut your heart out. Strangers come and take your blood. So that is what I highlighted. Does that make you think of anything?
I think what the author's trying to say is that you should probably put more effort into forming relationships with anyone.
Yeah.
With all people. And your surgeon, your nurses.
Yeah.
Anyone you meet.
Yep. But then I think you wrote somewhere in this book as well where you were like, sometimes it's because I was talking about how there were people in the book, they're operators, and they replaced blood of people.
Yep.
And you said something like, oh, and I was saying that, oh, it's, they have no empathy, and then you said, oh, maybe sometimes it's important to not have empathy so that they don't feel the emotional or psychological aspects of their job. So from that perspective, saying that nobody knows anyone, strangers are doing all these things to you. Maybe from that perspective, it's better. But I don't know, from a patient perspective, it would be nicer, I think, to know the people that are operating on you or talking to you and stuff like that. For example, the teachers that you have. Teachers, obviously, can potentially massively influence the kind of person you are, the things you think about. You don't actually know your teacher, though. You generally don't know them that well.
Yeah.
You don't really know what sort of past they've lived, what sort of things they support, who they would vote for president, stuff like that.
Their interests and hobbies.
Yeah, and you don't get to know that because there's way too many of us. We're all so, I already have so many relationships that I have to. I mean, not many, but like I already have people that I am involved with, that I want to be involved with. It doesn't really make much sense for me to reach out to my teachers and go, hey, I want to know more about you. Let's hang out and stuff like that.
But is he saying that you should, maybe?
I think he's just saying that, maybe he's saying that. He's saying something like, we should know each other more. We walk, like sometimes you pass by homeless people, and you look away. And, maybe if we were in a smaller town, and we all knew each other a little bit more, we'd care more about this person and try to think of a better future for them collectively. When there's so many of us, we're just passing by, we don't know each other, we don't really pay that much attention to those in need.
Yep,
I think.
That's true. We just think, someone else is going to help them.
Yeah, exactly. We'd rather not bother, I guess. Alright, another one, I think this one relates to the same thing, is no one has time anymore for anyone else. Yeah. I felt like this was it's interesting because this book was actually, it's not written recently,
Yeah.
It was written when the TVs were coming out for the first time.
Yep.
And so there was no social media back then. There was no people, investing a lot of time in the media and stuff like that. People were obviously more connected back then. And so a lot of the things that he's saying, he is thinking of what would happen if people continue to watch the TV and that exploded into a big thing. Yeah.
So maybe it's not that no one has time, they don't make time.
Yeah. Which is interesting. And you do see that, I think.
Yeah.
For example, yesterday, I think, Ami called me into her room to ask me something. And I sort of sat there. And I was just like, sort of going, like answering questions, talking and stuff. But I was going, okay, how long do I have to do this? Because I want to get back to the thing I'm doing. Because it's more interesting. And I thought to myself, like you're just talking to your mother. Like why don't you just, there's nothing wrong. You literally won't lose anything if you spend an hour sitting here and listening to her and talking to her and stuff like that. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
We really don't have much. We don't really prioritize our relationships as much.
And I think we're almost at the point where it's happening unconsciously.
Yeah. Because, like, for example, for me, yesterday, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I was thinking that. I was like, man, I gotta move on.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's quite sad.
Yeah. Is there anything we could change?
Well,
prevent that from happening. Not have a TV.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that because when we sit down, we face the TV.
Yeah.
I was listening to, I can't remember which episode it was, but we'll put it in the show notes. Ali and Taimur, Not Overthinking, it's a podcast, and Taimur was talking about this book called The Art of Gathering. I don't know if you've heard that podcast.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Where they're basically talking about how environment design really influences the way people behave and the way they think. So, if you have a set of sofas that are all facing each other, you're more likely to have conversations. Similarly, if you are on a table of, if you have a table of for 4 people, but 5 people are sitting on it, it's a bit of an awkward sort of situation. Or if you have a table of 6 and 5 people are sitting on it, then the person at the end will feel a little bit left out. They'll have to like sort of work harder to be included in the conversation and stuff like that. And so if you think about the way your house is situated, it can really change. Like, it influences the conversations you have.
Absolutely.
So if we not that if we didn't have a TV, if we had something where we could make the TV go into a contraption, like, press the button, the TV would come out, press the button, TV would go in.
Yeah.
That would be, I think, cool.
Yep.
Or if we all decided that we would have, for example, chai in the living room rather than the lounge.
That'd be awesome. That'd be so great.
We could actually do something like that. Or another thing that I was thinking of, and this isn't really, because the way we sit on the dinner table, I think all of us sort of are able to look at each other well, except Ami. She's right at the end.
Yeah.
So I was
I've
thinking
thought about that too.
If we had instead of Abu sitting on one corner, if we all just sat opposite each other, that would drastically change the way Ami is included in conversations.
I believe so, yeah.
Because generally when I'm talking, I can't even look at Ami in the way I'm sitting. And if I was sitting the same way, but further down, I would be able to see her.
We should definitely do that.
Yeah, we should talk about it. Because the whole, head of the family sort of thing...
Yeah, it's really outdated. It's really outdated.
And maybe if we were a family of 3 people, it would make sense. If we were a family of 5 people, it would make sense. Because, it would make that nice sort of curve.
Okay.
Circle. Or if we had a table... But even if we had a circular table, it wouldn't actually change much. Like, if you have a circular table, and you're all sitting around the circle, you're all facing each other. Which works really nicely. So I was gonna say, there would be no such thing as a head of the family on a circular table.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking.
Yep.
Unless, the chair had a specific sort of thing that indicated that it was for the head of the family or something like that. Yeah, that's something I think that could really, I think it's quite wonderful when we all get together and eat. And we're all the adults are sort of sitting in, they're all on sofas, but they're all sort of facing each other. And that looks quite nice. You can see that they're having better conversations.
Yeah. From
that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes they put, chairs in front of the TV, right? Facing the opposite way.
Yeah.
So there's, a nice circle, really bad circle, but a circle.
But a circle. We're all facing each other.
Spheres.
Yes, a sphere. So that's, I guess, one way we could improve the fact that no one really has time for each other anymore. Alright, where's the next one? The jet cars, they race on the edge of town at midnight, and the police don't care as long as they're insured. As long as everyone has 10,000 insurance, everyone's happy.
What do you have to say about this?
I guess this sort of talks about how, money is a very defining factor in a lot of different things. And maybe it's trying to indicate that if there's a lot of money, I think here it's saying, even if a car crashes, it's fine because it's insured. It doesn't, maybe people don't have that much value for their things that they have. Or, people are in it for the money. Because what I wrote here was, so basically there's this incentive set up for pharmacies and the doctors, where a doctor can set a patient up to get a medicine review, where a pharmacist will go into the home of the patient, do a review on their medications and lifestyle, give some advice, hand a report to the doctor, and the doctor will then try and change, for example, prescription items or change different things for the patient to help have a better outcome. This initiative makes you a lot of money if you dive into it.
Okay.
And so my aunt, who's a pharmacist, she said that, I sometimes do these reviews with the patients, and I send a report to the doctor, but the doctor doesn't do anything about it. And I was like, why? And she said, well, actually, if you send off a request to do this sort of thing, the doctor immediately gets all the money for the incentive. And so for them, it's more of a money-making thing rather than this is something that I can actually help the patient.
Yeah.
And so that really upset me because, the government is paying these doctors to improve the health of generally elderly people. But, and I'm not saying all doctors are like that, obviously, but the one particular doctor, did not even bother to open the report to check what sort of changes the doctor the pharmacist has mentioned and stuff. So it made me think of this, that sort of everyone is really tied to money, and these police officers, they don't care, even though it is their moral duty to care about the cars driving too fast or potential car crashes happening, but they don't care because, I'm not losing any money if it happens. This person won't lose any money. It won't be any trouble for me. So, yeah. I think as time goes by, we are losing our sense of morality, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to say about that, or sort of make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, lovely. So, the one after that is, people don't talk about anything. They name a lot of cars or clothes or swimming pools mostly, and they say, how swell! But they all say the same things, and nobody says anything different from anyone else. Yes. On here, I wrote something like this, because I was making notes on this, so I wrote, that's very prevalent today. People talk a lot about celebrities, TV shows, and movies, a lot of criticism and judgment. And then Aasima wrote, about this, why is discussing books seen as a better thing compared to discussing movies? Did you want to discuss that?
That was a question to you.
Okay, well, so I said movies here as an example, but what I basically said, what I was basically trying to say was, a lot of people talk about a lot of things that inevitably don't really matter. So they'll be like, oh, Selena Gomez is so upset that Justin Bieber and Haley whatever got married. Oh no. No one cares. It's their life. Like, you shouldn't be so involved in their personal matters. This conversation does not contribute to anything in the end.
Yeah. Or
anything good happening, I think.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are about that, I think. A lot of people like talking about that sort of stuff. And you go on Snapchat and you go on the Discover page, and literally all of it is just so much BS, so much BS, and you're just like, why do people care? Why does it matter so much to you what this TikTok star is doing and who they dissed and all this sort of stuff? And it's, we could be talking about important things, about ways to improve ourselves and the way we think and why we think the things we do and stuff like that, but so many people are more so about that.
But the question that I asked, so I think in general, when people are so two people are discussing movies and two people are discussing books, it is always seen better when people are discussing books, although they both are just a piece of art. They both are presenting information. They both are, there's been a lot of effort put into making both texts. Yep. Why is it different?
It shouldn't be, but it is, because people have this sort of belief that books have more of an academic sort of background to them. Only smart people read books, if you're looking for fun, you don't read a book. You watch a movie and stuff like that. And movies have that sort of ideal that you watch it for entertainment, even though movies, like we've been discussing, movies can teach you a lot of things, and they do, similar to how books do, and you can deconstruct them a lot. So it's an incorrect sort of stereotype that's been created by society. It shouldn't exist.
But I think when you wrote down, for example, movies, I think you were probably discussing, or you were probably talking about when people discuss maybe Marvel movies.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Discussing characters, not character development.
No, yeah,
characters.
But
what happens in the movie?
Yeah. Oh, did you see how Thor punched that guy?
Whoa,
that was so cool. I mean, sometimes it's nice to talk about that, but if all your conversation is about that, then I don't know. I feel like there's more you can get out of conversation.
Yeah,
you can talk about. That's basically what I meant by that. You can talk deeply about movies, but you can also talk really superficially about them. Similar to books as well. You can talk about, you can pick up The Fault in Our Stars and talk about, oh wow, Hazel and the guy's name. Wow, so cute. Or you can talk about, the deeper stuff, like how they're both dealing with these really incredibly hard things happening to them and stuff like that.
Yeah. And what you could get out of it.
What you can get out of it, exactly. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't really know how to fix it because I think everyone has the ability to think deeply about things
Yeah.
and question things.
Yeah.
But it's easier to just be very surface level.
Yep, and I think it's easier to watch movies than read books as well.
Yeah, true.
I think that's also why maybe it is seen better when people read books, because people think, oh, that's not an easy thing to do. Reading books isn't easy.
Yeah, it requires more concentration and stuff. Oh, you know how because obviously I think people have the idea that any book you read will provide value to you. Will maybe change a little bit part of you. Will make you think deeply. And some movies are not like that though. Like some movies, like you're literally watching them just for pure entertainment.
Yeah.
For example, action movies, right? Like James Bond. I've never seen James Bond, but anyway, any action movie, like Ravan. Okay, Ravan is an Indian movie, right? Ravan is an Indian. Like, what does it teach you? I'm sure it teaches us something. If we really think about it, it probably does. About how you treat your parents or something. But if you think about, for example, like just all they have is action, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, he turns the corner. There's a guy. Oh, takes out the gun, starts shooting, blah blah blah, and that happens like the whole time. I don't watch that much action movies anyway. So I don't know, but maybe they're the kind of movies that don't really have that much substance. Like they're just there for pure entertainment, which is nice as well sometimes.
Yep.
But I think books have that as well, though. Books can also have that. So, for example, the Maze Runner, I think, was a book that was made literally for just pure entertainment, to just enjoy the story.
And Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah,
but it's a children's book.
Yeah, but children's book can be deep as well.
Yeah.
I think Diary of a Wimpy Kid, it sort of really makes you understand what someone that like thinks really high of themselves, but is actually really pathetic. Like, it just makes you feel sorry for people like that.
Such a loser.
Yeah.
Oh my god! But that's what makes the books again entertaining.
Yeah. So it's okay to talk about entertaining stuff. It's okay to, but if you're talking about it all the time, I think you're really missing something.
It's just more fulfilling to have something other than just the entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So the next one is, we need not to be let alone. We need to be really bothered once in a while. How long is it since you were really bothered? About something important? About something real? Yes. Aasima did a to this.
Yeah, I did a to that.
Fine, Aasima. So, when was the last time you were really bothered about something?
I feel like I'm bothered every day.
Oh, oof. She's on another level. Okay.
No, aren't you?
No. I'm a relatively at peace person. I don't let things impact me too much. Like, I know something. Like, what do you mean? What were you bothered by today? The strength thing, right? Your strength?
I guess that could be one. But like, for example, even the article that Abu sent us.
Yeah.
It bothered me for quite a bit. For quite a while. I just thought, you know what? Maybe I should be the person who fixes this all. You know? I can just leave everything and just work on this somehow and stop it from happening, because the article talked about a lot about how people were just being so silent about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? Yeah. What if I just do this? So in that, would you say that I was bothered?
Yeah, you were bothered.
Yeah. So I think it happens quite often for me.
Okay. Yeah, because I think you were bothered about the whole Palestine thing some days ago as well. Yeah. For me, I don't really get bothered that much, which maybe makes me seem like some bit of a robot, or like someone without empathy or sympathy.
No, but that's the thing. I don't think anything very good comes out of me being bothered though, because I'm not really taking action. Yeah.
Makes sense. Because the last time I was really, really bothered was when the Black Lives Movement, like for example when George Floyd got murdered recently. That really, and the sort of reaction that came from that on everywhere basically is what really bothered me.
Yeah.
And then I watched this documentary about it called 13th, and that like it really bothered me. And it was good that it did, because anything I do now, any movie I watch, any anything, any thought I have, a part of me is also thinking, oh, am I being prejudiced in some way? Am I supporting things that are just, that only have only like white people governing it, and stuff like that. So it has bothered me to the point where it has changed a little bit about me.
Okay. Okay, so I guess in a way it doesn't always have to do with action that can be seen. Maybe it could be an internal change.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
So something that bothers you enough for you to change something in some way.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Or maybe being bothered about things that you know you can't change. For example, the article, I can't change anything about that. I don't think I can. Honestly. Do you think you can do anything about it?
Yeah, because after I thought about it, I'm just like, what can I do though? What do I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's out of your control.
Yeah.
You can't really do anything about it, but like literally you can't do anything about it, You could share, but what's that going to do?
No, it's not going to do anything.
For example, being really bothered about the fact that you're really unfit. Like suddenly realizing, man, I am actually really unfit. Like 10 years down the line, I will be hating on myself for not doing anything about the way I live. I should be exercising more. I should be improving my heart rate and stuff like that.
Do you think this book refers to adults more than it refers to like teenagers or kids?
Yeah,
because I think adults today, they're maybe less bothered by what are they?
I mean, I'm not an adult, so I don't know. But we can talk to Abel about this, I guess. And see how his friends react to things and stuff like that. But yeah, I do think, as maybe the fact that you get bothered so much about all this news and I don't is because I am older than you. And so maybe in the past I used to get really bothered by it.
Maybe.
But now my sort of my sensitive tolerance has increased.
Yeah.
It takes more to make me feel sensitive about stuff.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. And of course, when you're an adult, you've seen so many things. You're like, okay, you know what? It really doesn't. Whatever. I can't do it. First, I can't do anything about it. I need to live my life. I need to provide for my kids. I need to continue supporting my family. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, like you so rarely see Amiabu just being super down, right? You see us being down quite often
about like environment or something anything. Yeah,
because we're bothered by it.
Yeah,
but Amiabu are maybe they're less sensitive to these things. So, but what do you think the author was trying to tell us? Was he trying to make us feel more bothered or be more bothered?
Yeah, I think he was just trying to say that, listen, you need to open yourself up to what's going on in the world and think, or maybe just in your life, how you're feeling internally and whether you're on the right track. Some people, they reach a certain age and they're like, this is my routine, this is it. I'm gonna continue like this forever. I'm gonna come home every night, order a Subway. Well, Subway is healthy. Come home every night, order pizza, eat pizza, stay up late watching something, drink beer, and then go to sleep. And they do that every night. And it's sort of an autopilot because they've developed this habit. And if they maybe sat down and thought about, what kind of life am I living? Am I really living the kind of life that I want to be living? And feeling bothered about that, I think would be important.
So he's saying you should be bothered about internal things?
Internal things, maybe external things as well, because in this thing he becomes bothered about the fact that his whole world, there's no substance left in the world.
Yeah.
No, everyone is just out for entertainment. They're spending their whole time just staring at screens, not doing anything, not interacting with the world, destroying the world, slowly becoming savages, sort of. So he realizes. So I think that happens to, we all get that enlightenment. I got the enlightenment about how much consumerism there is in this world.
Yep.
And how much waste we generate. That made me feel, both of those things made me feel really bothered.
Yep.
Maybe that's what he's saying.
Yep.
And honestly, I think there's a limit to how much you can do that. Like for example, discovering that workers are exploited in India and China. Right? That bothered me. and then I'll discover something else. But then I think I'll run out of things to discover about the world.
Really?
Hmm.
I don't think so. I think there should be a limit to how much you get bothered, because I think there's endless negativity. Because you can find out more things, you can get more bothered. You just can't be happy anymore. So I don't know. Yeah, like guy, right? Montage. After he finds out about this stuff, he's angry, he's upset. Even if he had some sort of happiness before, which he didn't really, but he definitely doesn't have it now.
His peace, whatever it was, it's been disturbed.
Yeah, exactly.
His eyes have been opened.
There's really that question about how bothered he should be about this stuff. Like, I think there has been times in the past where I'd come down and I'd say, there's so many horrible things going on in the world, and I'd share this how horrible I'd be feeling with Amiabu, and they'd say, well, if you keep thinking about this stuff, then you wouldn't want to do anything. You'd want to stay in that space and just keep on thinking about this stuff. You can't be that way. You can't be that bothered. You can. You just live a terrible life that way, though.
Yeah. If you're constantly just thinking about all the injustices in the world, and you wouldn't be able to contribute to anything or do anything with your life. So I guess it's good to be bothered, but don't be bothered all the time. Be bothered enough that it makes you want to change things that are in your control.
Yeah. But don't get to a point where you're bothered so much that you just completely lose hope about everything.
Yeah, because
that's a very bad place to be in.
That's right. That's all we have for this episode. In the next episode, we dive a bit more deeper into some of the quotes and some of the things we can learn from them. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. If you have any sort of, if you'd like to talk more about these, you can direct message us on Instagram so our Instagram page is called Car Chit Chats. Or you can also email us at carchitchats@gmail.com. Yeah, thank you for listening, and guten bye.